ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्यां मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 Is the sound okay? Yeah?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Perfect, Swamiji.
Yeah, happy to hear that. Let us see where we are at and continue with that. Oh, one announcement. I had said something about next week, half an hour early. Cancel that. Same time. There is some this. What is this called? This daylight time is a little difficult because I calculated it wrongly. Yeah, so it's not whatever I'm doing for the yoga farm is not coming in the way of our classes, any of them. Okay, yeah. So, that being said, please remind me to announce the same thing at the very end as well, because they may have some other people may have joined a little later. All right. So, yesterday we saw that the the person who is lamenting loudly and complaining all the time, who the lost individual, the lost jiva, and what, I don't know where I am, what will happen to me, what's going to happen, where should I go, where, what is all this, and that is in fact the definition of the jiva. If you don't complain, you're not a jiva. So that means what? you know so so this is the difference between jiva and atma. Have you ever seen Atma complain? Say no, so we can move on. No, never. It's only the Jiva who complains, and the Atma, which the Jiva, of course, is Atma, but with a happy helping of self ignorance. This is what, and the self ignorance manifests. The voice of self ignorance is the voice of complaints. That is the thing. And the complaints are twofold. I have a problem with myself, complaint number one. And then I have a problem with you, complaint number two. You meaning the rest of the world. And sometimes it is flipped. I have a problem with you, and then and you, and when you say you many times, then it becomes the third person. Why? Because it becomes he, she, it, they. It becomes the whole jagat. I have the problem with the jagat. And if you have a problem with the jagat, then what happens? Then this is one way to go with it, go along with it and say the jagat is terrible and everything is horrible and this is all just awful. Then you remove the jagat or all the complaining things, whatever is the source of complaint. You find that the complaints have not yet gone. Not yet gone. That means what? One is complaining about oneself. I am not okay. And these two are very deadly, fatal to our quest. Why? Because, as Pujya Swamiji used to say very, very clearly, that until and unless one stops complaining about the world and one stops complaining about oneself, there can be no headway in this Atmajnanam. So, a very crucial piece of adhikaritvam is to be able to inquire into this source of complaint and embrace that which is complaining, and understand that it is coming from a sense of lack which is mithya, etc., etc., and do that, do some kind of an interrogation with regard to these complaints. So this is the doorway to atmagyan. So that's why Adi Shankara goes, full hog in terms of illustrating these complaints, because this is, to make it very clear what is this dasha. Dasha means the abject situation. This jiva situation is so terrible. What is this jiva situation? To illustrate that very clearly, all these complaints are given, uh, in a very vistarita, in a very detailed form. They are unfolded and painted properly. It's not an exaggeration. These are all, each one which we saw yesterday. Aham amushya putraha, mama ete bandhavaha, now sukhi, now dukhi, now mudha. In relation to some people, I'm an idiot. That's why I don't hang around them because I don't want to see myself as an idiot. And in relation to certain other sycophants, I am a pandita, so I like to hang around those people in whose company I look good. And then I am very dharmic, I'm very wonderful, I'm great. And then now, oh, I'm not so great. And then I am a papi, I have too much karma. This is something, another thing that people like to blame. I have karma. Well, who doesn't have karma? No, 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 you don't understand. I have been singled out. I have more karma than you and I have more karma than everybody else that I know. And this is what the thing is. Kame gatihi, how will I live? Oh no, I'm already dead. Okay, if you're dead, then how can the next question, see, look at this. Ha hataha asmi. Oh no, I'm killed. I'm dead. Here, killed means really killed, not American killed. Once one young man came to me, and his mother brought him to me, and a student, and he had sat for some exam, not the SAT exam, but some other exam. Okay, and then after that, I asked him, so how did you do? And he said, I killed it. And I got a little, I had never heard this expression before. Does it mean he did badly? Does it, what does this mean? Then the mother explained, it means that he did very well, killed it. So it's not that kind of killed here. Ha, hatos means I'm done in for. I'm gone. Katham jivishyami. Then, if I'm already gone, then the next question is, how will I go on? How will I go on living? Katham jivishyami, how will I live? And then, what will happen to me? Where is the shore in this samsaric ocean with all these riptides, currents, and whirlpools? Where is the shore? I don't see. And and then, okay, here is the shore. Oh no, I'm all adrift and washed ashore, washed up like a beached whale. And this is basically how it is. It's all a series of contradictory complaints. And then what happens? Complaining in this manner. Usually people who complain like this are avoided by others. So if you want, what was that book? How to Have Friends and Influence People. Very famous book. And one of the things it says is stop complaining if you want friends. Otherwise, everybody will avoid you. They see you coming and they hide behind a wall or a bush so that you can just pass by, because nobody wants to encounter such a person. That's why the Guru here is described as Paramakarunika, because not only does the Guru stop to listen to the complaints, the Guru shows a way out of the complaints. Very, very interesting. For whom iti evam aneka shata sahasra anartha jalavan, the one who is in the pasha. Pasha is not, not the Russian Pasha, but here, which is a pet name of Alexander, but here that's not what it is. But here Pasha means a noose, a tie. And so the one who is strangulated by the net of all kinds of problems, complaints, disregarding all that, the Paramakarunika, the teacher, who is herself, himself, vimukta bandhanam, vimukta bandhanaha, free of all kinds of these complaints, brahmishtaha, the most exalted of jnanis, the one who stops, and then if the complaining jiva has the wherewithal to take refuge in such a person, then that person teaches, and as a result of the teaching, this crying, the one who was a crying jiva, I'm looking for the word here, very nice compound, becomes that some becomes who samsara vishaya dosha darshana margah san. Very nice compound. Samsara vishaya dosha darshana margo bhavati. So first jiva, then complainer about all kinds of things, and then meets the teacher, has shraddha, studies with the teacher, and then what happens? Becomes a person who is darshita samsara vishaya dosha darshana margah. So who is this person? Darshita, the one who has been shown. What has the person been shown? Samsara vishaya dosha. So samsara vishaya dosha means the problems with samsara. The person has been shown that the problems with samsara have been made very, very clear for this person. The person has been shown the limitations of samsara. Such a person, now he has or she has become the person who is told that that you are free of being a samsari. You are free of being a samsari because you are not, you know the problem with samsara. You know the dosha of samsara. What is the dosha of samsara? The dosha of samsara is that everything there is finite and appears to be discrete, and you who is encountering all those things are taking everything to be infinite. When you take the finite to be infinite, then what do you become? Some sorry, very, very sorry. Somewhat sorry, some sorry. So many derivations. Just, some sorry you can derive, you can have an English vyutpatti also. So this is how it is. Somewhat sorry, or the one who is having the sums total of all sorry experience, some sorry. And Pujya Swamiji's definition was what? The one who is riding a horse. What kind of a horse? A toy horse, where on the sorry go round of life. You cannot call it a merry go round because there is nothing merry about this. you know so therefore the one who is going on the sorry go round of life, that is the samsari. And then therefore one feels handcuffed, finite, limited, disoriented. Why? Because everything that one is encountering, one is thinking it is atma. This is the problem. One is thinking it is atma, one is acting as though it is atma, and therefore one is unable to come to terms with whatever one is encountering. And so therefore this is why the person grieves. And so therefore what? So the teacher then teaches, to, because the one who is a adhikari, the how where is the adhikari talked about? Panditaha medhavi, the one who can remember. all the Sanskrit rules. What is fourth conjugation? How do you tell if it is first conjugation or sixth conjugation? And is it a noun? Is it a verb? What is it? The one who can remember, the one who has good grasping power, retention power, and reproduction power also. Reproduction means the ability to reproduce what is taught. And so so this is Medhavi. This is the definition of Medhavi. And then Pandita means there is a general infrastructure in terms of logic, education, thinking, etc. It's the faculty of thinking has been nicely honed here. And so that, along with the power to grasp and retain and recollect at the correct time, the Medha Shakti is the one who reaches moksha, signified by this Gandhara Desha. And this cannot be done without the teaching. And what does the teacher teaches? Nasitvam samsari. So the person is told, you are not a samsari any longer. Kim tarhi? The question is asked, how come I'm not a samsari? How come, yes, just now, 5 minutes ago, I was a samsari. Now you're telling me I'm not a samsari. How did it happen? Amushya putratvadi dharmavan. You are not the person who has the status, the dharma here means status, who has the attribute of being such and such a person's son, such and such a person's daughter, such and such a person's brother, sister, etc. Then Kim Tharhi, what else am I? Sadyat. You are that Sat which is the cause of the entire Jagat. That is who you are. You are the only thing that exists. Jagat Karanam Sat Tat Tvamasi. You are that. So uh, so um, so then what happens? Then the blindfold comes down. What is the blindfold? Avidya moha pata abhinahanat mokshitah. The person is freed from what? Abhinahanat, bandhanat, nah bandhane, you know nahyati. So therefore the person is freed of the bondage of what? Of the cloth of delusion that has blindfolded one's vision. And what is that cloth of delusion? That cloth is avidya and delusion put together. Avidya causes delusion. Delusion means wrong priorities. Sadhana sadhya aviveka, nitya nitya aviveka, dharma dharma aviveka. This is what is moha. And identifying with everything finite also comes under that category as well. And so then nitya aviveka. So there is no discrimination between what is real, what is unreal, what is permanent, what is temporary, what is atma, what is anatma. Na. And so this is moha. And the moha is because of the root, which is avidya. So the avidya is the avidya eva pataha. So the avidya pataha means avidya eva pataha. The avidya itself is the cloth. Avidyaya moha. So because of avidya, there is moha, and that moha also is the pata. So avidya means non-recognition of the truth of oneself as sat, which leads to moha, wrong cognition of oneself as subject to death, finite, a loser, and an idiot, all these things. Very, very interesting. So abhinahanath, from freed from that bondage, the person is released, just like that Gandhara Purusha, the one who was from Gandhara. Swasya Swarupam Swam Sadeva Atma Sadatma Tam Upasampadya. Swasya Swarupam Tam Upasampadya. And what is so gaining one's own Swarupa. What is that Swarupa? That Swarupa is Sadeva Atma Aham. Sadeva Atma Tad Aham Sadatma. Iti, gaining that understanding, gaining that knowledge that I am that Sat, which is Atma, which is everything, which is the Atma of the entire Jagat, gaining that Prapya Nirvritaha. Nirvritaha means freed of all bondages. And then the person is Sukhi. Sukhi means happy. So therefore, the Shruti then concludes Acharyavan Purusho Veda. Veda here, Veda is not a, is not a noun. Acharyavan Purusho Veda is not a noun. It's a verb. It means the person with an acharya knows. Just like in the Bhagavad Gita also we have Veda Vinashinam Nityam Yayenamad Ajam Avyayam Veda Avinashinam Nityam. Know this to be free of any kind of destruction. Know this Atma to be free of destruction. Destruction. Same thing here. Acharyavan Purusho Veda. This is the this is the first thing that the Gandhara Purusha story is trying to illustrate. It's trying to illustrate that this particular, this particular moral of this story is that without Acharya, it is not possible to come back to yourself. The centrality and of the acharya is affirmed because of the peculiar nature of the bondage. If you were really bound, then all you need is some pair of scissors or something like that, and then you can cut off that bondage. But here you think you are bound, but you're not bound, and you're acting as though you are bound without really being bound. And therefore this very ingenious way of the removal of bondage is talked about here very, very beautifully. And so as so therefore the teacher is very much needed, because the teacher as though removes the bondage, as though bondage, and then the truth of the self, avidya, goes, and the truth of the self shines as sadatma. And so this is the first thing that this story is trying to say. This story is trying to illustrate. There is one more. What is that? There is one more secondary thing that the story is illustrating, or this particular section is going to deal with. And it's a very interesting thing, because this is something we have already encountered, where many places this in this bhashya itself it was talked about, and this sentence, what is that sentence? Tasya tavadeva chiram yavanna vimokshe. This is the vakya, shruti vakya. So this also is a very important Shruti Vakya. And what does it mean? It is very difficult to decode it, because we have to out of context it doesn't make any sense at all. So before we look at the Vakya itself, a brief introduction into what it signifies and what that means here. So now, Acharyavan Purusho Veda, the person with the Acharya has come to know, that has lost the ignorance, self ignorance, and has come to know I am Sadatma, I am the whole, etc. I am limitless Brahman, the person I am of the nature of Bhagavan, the person has come to know. Okay, then the question is what happens next? This is something everybody is very curious about. What happens next after Jnana Prapti takes place? See, Jnana Prapti is not something that is in time. Even though we say it is in time, it is not really in time. Jnana Prapti happens, and then it is more in the sense of a growing clarity. But then, there are acharyas, the Satyamidam, this is true. There are acharyas who celebrate, what is it called? Enlightenment Day, their own Enlightenment Day. And then if enlightenment happened on a particular day, then we are in trouble, really. Then enlightenment itself becomes finite because it depends on the day, and it depends on time. When what is this quote unquote, and I rarely use that word even because of all these problems. And then what is this quote unquote enlightenment? This quote unquote enlightenment is not something that is, happens in time. It cannot be an event that happens to the self. That cannot be that at all, because the self is the canvas, and the observer of all events that take place, and the self is also the creator, so to speak, of time. So then, how can this happen? But nonetheless, in the Brahma Sutra and in the Bhagavad Gita and in Upanishad Vakyas like this, there is a big curiosity. What happens to the jnani? What happens to this jnani? So here we are embarking upon a very interesting discussion. And what is this discussion? The discussion is, okay, the Guru blessed and said, okay, you are no longer an ajnani, you are no longer a samsari, etc. And then the Shruti says, after this, tasya tavadeva chiram yavanna vimokshe. Meaning, that the body after the jnanam, what happens to the body? Obviously the body doesn't drop, correct? If the body drops after jnanam, then we are in trouble, because already there are so few people really interested in Vedanta. And then, yes, okay, the person came to know, yippee, I am the whole, gone. And then who will come for such a knowledge? Nobody would like to come for this kind of a knowledge that literally kills you. So nobody wants to come for this. I mean, and then after that, don't worry, you will be eternal. Who cares? Right now, I am, I don't want to go, and then here I am. Here I am. This is, here I am, and this is what it is. I don't want to go. And then, besides, we have another bigger problem, and all this is going to be tackled by the Bhashya. But I'm just giving little, what should I say, appetizers. Okay, so then when it comes, we can just enjoy it. We can say, oh, this is the second helping. I've already had an introduction to this. Then there is some kind of a swarasya. So there is another problem, a bigger problem. Can anyone guess what it is? Huh? Not only the student
No
goes
teacher.
away, as soon, yeah, where is the acharya? If it's acharyavan purusho veda, where is the acharya? A dead other, because the acharya has died. So a dead acharya cannot teach, and the living ones who are calling themselves acharya are not acharyas. Because if they truly knew, they would have also gone bye bye. So the fact that they are alive, that means that they don't know. Look at this quandary that we are in. Very, very exciting and interesting, very interesting. This Bhashya is so beautiful because it deals with all of these, situations which we would not even have thought of by ourselves. And so the Bhashya will, go deep into this and even raise an important Purva Paksha. And so therefore, so obviously we see people, and we encounter people, and we have encountered saints, etc., and people who are free of what, who are totally free of having atma ajnana, and still they continue to eat, they continue to drink, they continue to sleep, they continue to do whatever they are doing, they continue all these things, but with a big difference. What is the difference? They know that whatever is happening is as though. They don't have that identification with the notion, I am the actor. They don't have that identification. And so therefore, so this is the premise here for this sentence. and the sentence itself is difficult because it uses a different, it's chandasam. It uses it is not what we can't say it is grammatically incorrect. That would be, that's not correct, but it is, it has a poetic license which makes the meaning a little more, we have to look into the meaning a little more closely for it to yield some sense. Tasya, who is this Tasya? Acharyavatah. The one, the Acharyavatah, Vatah Purushasya. For this Acharyavan Purushaha, Tasya. For this person, sixth case, Tasya. Ta, uh, are you able to hear now? Yeah?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so something happened. Doesn't matter. Now it is back. That's all that matters. So tasya tavadeva chiram. Tasya acharyavatah, for the person who has the acharya, for this person, tavadeva chiraha, meaning the delay is only so much. Yavat na vimokshye. Now, this vimokshye is in the first person, but tasya, for this person, that is in the third person. So there is some kind of a little bit of a, purusha difference, but that is because it is a shruti vakya, and so that has to be resolved. So we have to say tasya tavadevam tavadeva chiram. The delay is only so much for the person, which person? The one who has studied with the acharya. So yavanna vimokshyate. The one who is not, until the body drops. Tasya tavadeva chiram. So the delay is only until the body drops. And this is a very confusing sentence, because then the question, it begs the question, delay of what? Delay of what are we talking about? Are we talking about the delay of knowledge, Sat Sampatti? Because then we are in trouble. If we are talking
Swaminiji,
of knowledge,
their life is
what
not
is the
on,
point
Swami.
of going to the acharya? Already the jiva is wanting instant gratification, because everybody wants the knowledge yesterday, and one wants it right now. And so you go to the acharya and study, and then after study one is told that okay, after death you will have what? Knowledge. Yavanna vimokshate. Vimokshate here means freed of the body. So here, that is not the meaning. Adi Shankara is going to point it out. That is not the idea at all. So therefore, what is the idea? The idea is that the when the person knows that I am free of this body mind sense complex, I am not a karta, I am not a bhokta, the job is done. The person immediately and after that always continues to experience that freedom of one's own swarupa in the form of moksha. But then the prarabdha continues. That's why the person, as soon as they finish their studies with the guru, or as soon as they see the truth, the body doesn't fall away. Prarabdha continues. And the example that is given is mukta ishwade, ishuvat, like a released arrow or a gunshot. So, unfortunately, you have all these, stories of people being shot and everything. And so, when the gun shot, it hits the target but continues to go. It enters the body of the victim, and then passes through, and then hits something else, and ricochets off of that wall, and then comes to rest somewhere. So we are told. I don't know about all this. Thank God, I don't want to know also. But this is what we hear. And to take a less fatal example, you can take like a ball. in for example a game of cricket or something like that, then the fielder goes to catch the ball with a catch in the heart, because they know that, oh, it is going to go beyond the boundary. 4 runs, six runs the person is going to get. But then still, even though it is pointless, the person, the fielder runs after the ball, trying to catch the ball, because the ball has a certain momentum. I told you, prarabdha karma, which was initiated when the person was a blaming, complaining jiva, continues. Continues until the body drops. The dropping of the body signifies the end of the prarabdha karma for all jivas. But for the jnani, what's the difference then? For the jnani, the dropping of the body means freedom. This is called videha mukti. So this freedom, meaning I should put freedom like this, this videha mukti, this as though freedom. Very interesting, because this as though freedom is just because while the person was in the body, also the person was free. But to the rest of us, appeared to be unfree. Jnani got a cold. Jnani is now in a wheelchair. Jnani is on oxygen. Jnani is got COVID. And then this is confusing for people, and especially the so-called, what is it called, new age movement, etc. And in new age philosophy, this is it is quite a bit influenced by Vedanta, in the sense, oh, you are nothing but God. And then they don't understand at what level that this is not vachyartha, this is lakshyartha, meaning this is understood at a level, that is not at the it's at understood at an indicatory level, not cannot be taken literally. They don't see that. So they say, oh, if I'm God, why am I having the flu? Why did I succumb to this virus? There is a big disconnect. And so
Swamini
here,
ji,
no such disconnect, is there for the jnani. The jnani doesn't have this disconnect. The jnani knows it's all as though sick, as though thermometer, as though fever, as though going to the hospital, as though coming back. And if the coming back doesn't happen, the jnani bids bye bye in the hospital, then there is no, there is nobody to take up another body. This is what is meant
Swamini ji,
by tasya tavadeva chiram yavanna vimokshye, this Shruti Vakya. And so, with this introduction, let us look at this, let us look at this Vakya. It's at the bottom of page 36, after Acharyavan Purusho Veda iti. Tasya asya.
तस्यास्य
I'll read it myself. I don't know why nobody is repeating. Anyhow, so tasya asya evam
तस्यास्य
acharyavatah mukta avidya abhinahanasya tavadev tavan eva kalah chiram kshepah सदात्मस्वरूपसम्पत्तेः इति वाक्यशेषः। कियान् कालः चिरम् इत्युच्यते यावन्न विमोक्ष्ये न विमोक्ष्यते इति एतत् पुरुषव्यत्ययेन सामर्थ्यात्. What does this all mean? Let us see. So, here Tasya means Acharya is showing what is the meaning of the word Tasya. Tasya means Acharya Vataha Purushasya, the one, the person who has an Acharya. Such an Acharyavan. So, the Acharyavan is the is the one that is talked about here. Now, so then, who is this person? Mukta avidya abhinahanasya. the one who is freed of the bondage of avidya. Why? Simply because the person has acharya. How wonderful this is. All you have to do is have an acharya and the rest takes care of itself. That is the idea. Then tasya tavadeva chiram yavanna vimokshye tavan eva kalah, meaning only that much time is there. Chiram means kshepaha, meaning the kala. Wait for that time to pass, and then the gain of the sadatma swarupa, as aham sadatma swarupa is there, aham param brahma is there. Aham sarvakaranam brahma, aham sadatma is there. Then, this sadatma aham asmi, aitadatmyam idam sarvam, this atma I alone am. This gain, this kind of a gain, for this the wait is only until the body drops. Again, this should not be understood as someone who, who even after the gain of the knowledge does not enjoy the fruits of the knowledge in terms of a very pleasant mind and in terms of not being affected by every, wind of misfortune that blows, and every wind of subjectivity that comes by, that swings by. So that is not the idea. The idea is the as though limitations go. And then Bhashyakara helpfully points out that here we have to do Purusha Vyatyaya. Vyatyaya means change. Change of person. Which person? Grammatical, from the first person, Prathama, we have to bring it from Uttama Purusha, Vimokshye, to Prathama Purusha, because the Shruti Vakya Vimokshye is in the first person singular. So we have to convert that into the English third person singular. We have to say yavanna vimokshyate. This is what is called Purusha Vyatyaya, the change of person. Why? The answer is given in the fifth case, Samarthyat. Because there is because the beginning of the sentence uses the third person. Tasya acharya vatah purushasya. Tasya is in the third person. Correct? So then, therefore, the verb should agree with the subject. Correct? Yeah. This is one of the basic things in Sanskrit. You cannot say, what is that? Saha, this one person, phalani, fruits, khadanti. Saha doesn't go with khadanti. Why? Khadanti is plural. Eats. Many people eating, and so you cannot say eats. Like in English, if we say they all eats, it would be wrong. And so this is what is pointed out here. So we have to do, in order for this sentence to make sense, we have to do purusha vyatyaya, change of person. And why? Samarthyat, meaning to make it compatible with the rest of the sentence. Samarthya here means context. Because of the context of the rest of the sentence is what? It is in the third person, and so therefore the asmat shabda, the I is not to be brought into the picture here, because we are talking of he or she, the one who has an acharya. We're talking about the person in the third person, and so therefore, since that tasya is there, therefore vimokshyate, it has to be altered to make sense. Then what? So the acharya itself, when the teacher teaches, then the student being medhavi pandita, the gain of sadatma swarupa here in the bhashya, which is going to be called sat sampatti, is always immediate. The gain of this knowledge is always immediate. What is the knowledge is not going to wait for anything that to happen. What is the time gap between me showing you a mango and you seeing the mango. What is the time gap? No time gap. I mean, if you strictly wanted to look at the time gap, I suppose it would be the time that the light takes to reach your eyes. That is the time gap. And the light travels so quickly, 186,000 miles per second. And so, therefore, really, there is no time gap at all. And so therefore now so the knowledge is, the knowledge is not dependent on time. This is what I have already told you. That's why celebrating something called enlightenment day is actually meaningless. And celebrating enlightenment day is meaningless because we are making enlightenment or atmagyanam contingent upon time. Because let's say somebody says January 1st, just for the sake of argument, hypothetical example, January 1st is my enlightenment day. Then what were you on December 31st? Ajnani. But that's not true from the standpoint of the Shruti. Why? Because what is the difference between what happened on January 1st and December 31st? That is also as though, it is as though all the way. Because you already have moksha, you are free. So did you have moksha on December 31st or not? Yes. And January 1st, do you have moksha? Yes. So what's the difference? There is no time in the entry at all. No, but I did not know. So now you know. And now that you know all this, and now that you know that time has nothing to do with it, then there is no need to mark January 1st in the calendar at all. No need to mark it. As as in the Brahma Sutra it says, the path to moksha, somebody's journey from ajnana to moksha, what is it like? The question is asked. And the answer is given. It's like the path of a bird, a migrating bird, a bird in flight. So the bird in flight goes from point A to point B, and then you look to see what journey. Did it take a turn? Did it go straight? Did it take rest on some, some wires, and or did it go and sit in a tree in the meanwhile and meditate for some time? What is its journey? You will never know, because it's an as though journey. So therefore, so the gain of knowledge is immediate. Why? Because it is pramana tantram. Pramana tantram jnanam, vastu tantram pramana tantram, not kartru tantram. Kartru tantram means it is dependent on the doer,
Ah,
karta. Like if I say something, if I say clap your hands, then you will wonder, oh, this is just an example. I don't really need to clap the hands. And then somebody might have just clapped. But since they are on mute, nobody knows, okay? And they are also thankful. Oh, I'm glad I did not put the volume on. I just clapped. Nobody else seems to have clapped. They might be thinking. So, kartum shakyam, it is possible to do, it is possible to not do, and it is possible to do differently. Kartum shakyam, akartum shakyam, anyatha va kartum shakyam. It is possible to do, it is possible to not do, and it is possible to do differently. Maybe you can clap after class. And so many possibilities being there, then therefore, what is the situation here? The situation is very, very interesting, that there is no time lapse. You can take a time lapse video, and then it's very beautiful. I'm sure you have seen this, of a flower blooming. 50 photos are put together, and or a time lapse video is put, and then so the video may be taken over 3 days, but then it is put over the 3 seconds or 3 minutes. You can see in 30 seconds you can see what happens in 3 days. Wonderful. But here there is no time lapse at all. None whatsoever, no time lapse whatsoever. And so since there is no time lapse, then there is no there is no there is the knowledge is not centered on the doer. I can do, I need not do, I can do differently. But can you say, I can know, I need not know, I can know differently? You can't. Knowledge is as true to the object. It doesn't depend on you. It depends on how the knowledge is objective. That's what it means. It is what it is. So if a person is driving and the person says, okay, I'm going to see only green lights. How is it possible? I'm going to see only green lights. I'm not going to see red at all. Of course, unless one is unfortunately colorblind, this is a different thing. But the person is not colorblind, and the person says, "I'm going to see only green lights." Then naturally there'll be some, unforeseen consequences as a result. Just because you see green light, that's not going to stop the light from becoming red whenever it is programmed to do so. And so therefore, in knowledge there is no option. There is no option to know differently. Like, if you say, for example, 2 plus 2 is 4. Oh, really? Why can't it be 5? Just once in a while. Why can't you just be accommodative? Why is everything so, dogmatic? Why can't we all love one another and just say, okay, sometimes 2 and 2 is 5? 2 and 2 can be 6 also. But you accommodate the person who says 2 and 2 is 5. Why? Because that person is happen to be some, your in-laws or something like that. And then you accommodate the person, and Thanksgiving is coming, and you know that they are coming over for dinner, and they will be keeping on talking about how 2 and 2 plus 2 is 5. And then you just accommodate the person. You try to change the subject and give them another helping of dessert. That's all. You cannot accommodate their belief. You can accommodate the person but not the belief. Why? Because this knowledge is not a belief. It's based on what is true. What is true to for everybody, not just one person. And so therefore here, Bhashyakara brings out this point very, very beautifully. And he says that, that the knowledge is immediate. But here, the kshepa is talked about. Kshepa means a time gap. Chiram. Chiram means the length of time. And what is the length of time? Yavat means until this body is there, the limitations, the so called limitations, I would say, of the body mind sense complex would continue. But the Jnani's freedom is unique. The Jnani is free enough to have a limited body, free enough to have a limited mind, free enough to have the limited senses. That, in fact, is the real freedom. What kind of moksha is it if it will not allow you to have a limited body or a limited set of senses? We are not freeing ourselves from the limitations of the body. We cannot do that. It's Ishvara Srishti. But we can free ourselves from the notion that one is limited. We are getting rid of that notion. This freedom to sport a limited body is the freedom of the Jnani. Being Jivan Mukta, the person is free. But the body is being limited. It's a pain in the neck, it's a pain in the leg, it's a pain in the back, it's a pain everywhere. And this will last. How long will this limitation continue? Until the prarabdha karma is there. That is the argument. After the karma is gone for this person, there is no sharirantaram. There is no another sharira to be taken. Why? Because they are Parmeshwara. This is a very unique way of teaching, because first you give, in certain kinds of teaching, what you do, you keep the who done it till the last. and and then you slowly you go through the argument and then give the vision later at the end. That is like the climax. And you see this, so in so many Upanishads we see this. You see this in the Keno Upanishad. The whole thing builds, and then the teaching is given. Tadeva brahmatvam vidhi nedam yadidam upasate. But then sometimes what happens, you give the point before, you make the point before. The Shruti is very, very clever. It doesn't stick to one particular, one particular style of teaching, because it wants you to keep guessing all the time. And so sometimes what you do is you give the vision in the beginning itself. Brahmavida apnoti param. The knower of the Brahman gains the ultimate. This is given right at the beginning of the Brahmananda Valli of the Taittiriya Upanishad. Right at the beginning of the chapter. Then, the Akanksha is there. Then the desire is there. What is this Brahman? Kim tad Brahma? Then it is said, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma Yo Veda Nihitam Guhayam, and the whole thing continues. But the knower of Brahman gains the ultimate. The vision is given in the beginning itself. So here also, in the beginning itself, the Shruti Vakya, Tasya Tavadeva Chiram Yavanna Vimokshe is given in the beginning, and then you build up the argument after argument. Very beautiful, methodology. Very nice. And, it depends on what the subject matter is, is, and how, for which subject matter, which approach is better, you know. So that is the idea. So if you are able to repeat, now you can please repeat. Yena karmana.
Yena karmana.
Is not there? Okay. Anyway, so I'll continue. Yena karmana shariram arabdham. Otherwise, Vinod can repeat. Yeah. Yena karmana.
Yena kamana charinam.
You have to unmute yourself, I think.
Yena karmana. Can you hear me, Swaminiji?
Are you able to do that? No? Okay, never mind. I will just say it today. Yeah. Yena karmana shariram arabdham tasya upabhogena kshayat dehapatah yavad ityarthah. So, yena karmana shariram arabdham. The set of karmas which brought this body into being, arabdham, which began this body. Happy birthday to you. That which caused that happy birthday song to be sung. you know, that day on which this body was supposedly born, so to speak, born. Yena karmana. By which karma? Shariram arabdham. Tasya upabhogena. उपभोगेन क्षयात देहपातः यावद इत्यर्थः. So by which karmas, by which karma means by which prarabdha karma, by which prarabdha karma, and we'll see what prarabdha karma is. By which yena karmana shariram arabdham, the body was begun. The body was begun. It's a bad translation. The body came into being. Yeah, sometimes literal translation is not the best. We have to bring out the elegance in the translation. So by which karma the body has come into being, by which set of karmas the body has come into being, then then tasya upabhogena kshayat means this karma, which brought the body into being with a particular time, with a particular place, with a particular parentage. This karma is gone only by being exhausted through experience. You have to experience it. You cannot give away your prarabdha karma, no matter how, what is that, no matter how generous you want to be. You cannot give away your prarabdha karma. You cannot do that. And so, therefore, what? So therefore, that means you yourself have to do upabhoga, means experience. Upabhoga. Upa samipe tishtan. See the upasarga. Upasarga means the prefix. Upa means near, meaning it this prarabdha karma is always near to you. It is breathing down your neck. It is waiting for an opportunity to give you some punya, some papa. Today there was halwa for lunch. Oh, I guess it was a great prarabdha unfoldment day. Fantastic. Nobody said anything mean. Everything went off however I wanted it to. However I wanted it to go, it went off. And whatever I wanted to happen, it happened. Fantastic. Wonderful day. And the next day starts with a vengeance. You wake up feeling not quite right. Everything is aching, everything is paining here, there, everywhere. And then so the prarabdha continues. So then this karma is exhausted only through your experiences, because it keeps unfolding situations unpleasant and pleasant. This is what is called karma upabhoga. Every day, this karma is being exhausted. And so there is prarabdha karma countdown, so to speak. And this good, it is good to look at it as a countdown. Otherwise, one can get depressed. You know why? Because when something difficult happens, you tell yourself, one karma gone. Thank God. One more big, and then let's say you have a sickness. Somebody has a sickness, God forbid. And then you say, one more big karma gone. Surgery, OMG, a huge karma gone. And so when you count it down, there is something very satisfying. The same thing doesn't come when you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nothing happens. But then when you say 10, 9, 8, 7, ooh, you feel good that way. So then the countdown of the prarabdha starts at birth. And then after that it is, and then after that it's a series of experiences until the body falls, the person will live. While alive, the person was Jivan Mukta, Jivan San. Even though the person is alive, still, is free. Or we can even say Mukta San Jivati. The person is free but continues to live. But then after the body drops, then the person continues to be mukta. Why? Because this present participle word jivan is an adjective to mukta. So, when the dehapata, the dropping of the body takes place, then what happens? The person is just mukta. Who is mukta also you cannot say, because there is no person there to claim I am free. There is no I, because it is all Parameshwara, who is Nitya Mukta. So the moksha was a release from the notion of the body. And then what? Then atha, and he's going to tell later, this atha has, atha has the meaning of tada, not afterwards. He's going to tell that later. And so therefore what? So yavad dehapatah yavad ityarthah. Then the word comes atha tadaiva sat sampatsyate iti purvavat. Tada eva. So this atha here in the Shruti should not be taken for in the sense of having the meaning of anantaryam. What is anantaryam? Anantara. Anantara means what? Afterwards, like there is a time gap. The meaning of the Atha Shabda has that. Like the first sutra of the Brahma Sutra, what does it say? Atha to Brahma Jignasa. Atha here, means thereafter. Therefore, thereafter. Thereafter means what? After gaining adhikaritvam. Then the desire to know Brahman takes place. There it has that anantaryartha. It has. And we look at that very closely. But here it doesn't have that anantaryartha. Atha here means Tadaiva, at that time itself, at the time of understanding, I am, I am Sat, then itself the person understands that. So Sampatsye in the Shruti is made into Sat Sampatsyate in order to make it. So for that same reason, Purvavat means Purusha Vyatyaya is there. So nahi deha mokshasya sat sampattescha kala bhedah asti. Very important point. Not indeed deha mokshasya, meaning deha patasya, the dropping of the body. There is no connection between the dropping of the body of the jnani and the gaining of the sat as oneself. No connection at all. In other words, the gain of the knowledge I am Sat does not depend on the dropping of the body. Thank God. Otherwise, all these difficult situations would come into pictures, into the picture. So, therefore, there is no anantaram here. Atha here means tada, at that time only. Tada eva. At that time only, the person gains sat sampatti, the atha shabda, which generally has the meaning of anantaram, thereafter, is not there here, because otherwise it could be very troublesome if it is interpreted to mean the death of the body. Deha pata anantaram or marana anantaram, maranantaram, then the person becomes sat. What's the use? So that is not the meaning. So tada eva, now itself. And then so there is no kala bheda, time gap or interval between the gain of the knowledge and the dying of the body. There is no connection at all. In other words, the gain of sat sampatti or the gain of the knowledge does not happen after the body falls. Why? Because the Sat Sampatti is self knowledge, Atma Jnanam. The Jnanam is there for the one who has the Buddhi, Medhavi, Pandita, Adhikari. So, if we are talking of having a Buddhi, the Buddhi is not floating around by itself. The Buddhi is connected to a body. We are talking of a, Karana Apeksha. The Karana should be there. Karana means the means to gain this knowledge should be there. One should have a body, one should have a mind, and the body is necessary to take the person to the teachings. And nowadays it's easy because the body doesn't have to move much. It has to just open the computer and sit in front of not Gurukula. What is it? Zoom Kula. Yeah, So, and instead of Arsha Vidya Gurukula, it is, instead of AVG, it is AVZ. Yeah, so Zoom Kula. So you just, roll over from one sofa to another and then open the computer, but still for that roll action of rolling over, you need the body, you need the mind to know what time the class is, etc., etc., and you need the mind to grasp the knowledge, to understand. So that faculty to correct the wrong conclusion about the eye, all that is needed. So then vritti jnanam is there, and then so therefore to understand this, one also has to see that this sadatma is not opposed to bondage. It's not opposed to bondage. The ahankara is opposed to bondage, but the sadatma is not opposed to bondage. It will accommodate the mistake. But the knowledge is born of vritti. That's why it's called vritti jnanam. What is vritti jnanam? That which happens in the process of understanding. When the pramana is unfolded, handled by the teacher, and the person sees what is being taught, that is vritti jnanam. So then vritti jnanam means where what? It implies the presence of the buddhi. So karya karana sanghata sharira is there jnanaya. Jnanaya shariram apekshate. Because for this knowledge, this shariram is needed. The body is needed for this knowledge, mind is needed. And so the how can the so although the apeksha is there, the knowledge therefore cannot take place at the fall of the body, because if you require the body, how can the knowledge takes place after the fall of the body? You require the body, you require the mind, otherwise how will you know you are satyam jnanam anantam? You need all these things, everything has to line up. And so therefore what, the fall of the body is not moksha. That is not moksha. While living, you gain this knowledge. That is moksha. But what about death? And yesterday we talked about Brahmaloka. There again, while living in Brahmaloka, you gain moksha. It is always in a particular body that you are free. Jivan eva muktaha. So then deha patanantaram. After the fall of the body, moksha cannot take place, because moksha is your own swarupa, which you have to know from the standpoint of correcting the mistake. That's all there is. And if you understand this much, then there is no connection at all between moksha and the dropping of the body. No connection at all. And so, what does the Shruti Vakya Tavadeva Tasya Chiram Yavannam Vimokshya mean? It means at the time of knowing itself, moksha is gained, but then the Dehapata comes, which comes later, accounts for the freedom from the seeming limitations, A, and B, from the rebirth. That is what is the gain of the it's the that is what that is what is being talked about, not the gain of the sat swarupa, not the gain of the Satsvarupa. This is what, Adi Shankara talks about here in these two sentences. See how long it took to unfold it. Just two sentences we have done today. And but that is the beauty of Bhashya, because it is very, very intricate here. And the reason why we took so long is also because this is going to lead us into a very important Purva Paksha. And what is the Purva Paksha? I'll give you a little sneak preview, which we can take up, next week. What is the Purva Paksha? The Purva Paksha is as follows. Okay, so your contention is that the Prarabdha Karma continues. When after the gain of the knowledge, the karma continues. Which karma? Prarabdha Karma. The karma that started, which was the cause of this body. Aha, the Purva Pakshi is rubbing the hands with glee. Yippee! Why? Because all the karmas are the same. They have to follow the same laws. Am I right? Because how many types of karmas we have? We have what is that? Prarabdha karma, that which began at birth. Then we have Sanchita karma, that huge body of limitless karma, so to speak, from which this prarabdha, like a pizza dough, was brought out and then put in the oven of samsara. So this we have a small, that small little ball of karma is prarabdha, and the sanchita is this huge thing. And whatever you're going to do in this life, that is agami karma. Aha! So if all the karmas are the same and all the karmas are following the same laws, my friends, so then how can you say that prarabdha karma continues, but at the gain of jnanam, the other two karmas drop? How can you say that? That is partiality, because either all the karmas should drop at the same time, meaning as soon as you gain the knowledge, as soon as somebody gains the knowledge, one should die, or then all the karmas should continue. Which means what? If all the karmas continue, Sanchita being infinite, then you will keep on being born, keep on being born, keep on being born. Then there is, Shastra Anarthakyam Syat. Anarthakyam means anarthasya bhava, meaning Shastra is meaningless. Why study? Why study if I'm going to keep on being born? Next life also I have to study, then also I have to study, then also I have to study. What's this point? No point at all. And so therefore, this is not of much use. Shastra is not of much use Guru is not of much use. In fact, you see, get angry seeing the Guru, because what's the point? Guru also will keep on continuing, and then you are also be keeping on continuing. And so therefore, you make up your mind. The Purva Pakshi says either all three karmas drop. You cannot say one karma continues and the other two karmas drop, and then you cannot say that. And so, how are you going to resolve this? The Purva Pakshi has put us in a very, very difficult situation. Thank God it's the end of time, so we don't have to deal with it this week at all. So next week, let us see what the what the samadhanam is. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ टेक् केर्